Francis, I'd like you to talk more about the current state of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement in Nigeria. How far have we gone?
Moving towards submitting the instrument of ratification to the AU. In addition to that, we are going ahead with defining our national strategy for AfCFTA. We recognize AfCFTA as a mission to diversify Nigeria's export base, as a mission to grow our production capacity, grow, possibly double our total export value by 2030. So we are developing our strategy to achieve that. A national strategy, but with focus on how the various sectors would contribute towards the achievement of that strategy. Beyond that, there are specific requirements in the agreement to operationalize it. And by the way, the negotiations remain ongoing to try to finalize the outstanding areas in terms of rules of origin, defining the documentation that will accompany the products and what have you. Beyond the strategy as well, there are readiness requirements. Some we carried over from the impact and readiness assessment, others we've identified through engagement with stakeholders. So we're looking at policies and regulations that we need to put in place to either satisfy the provisions of the agreement or make it easier for investors and businesses to invest in Nigeria. So some of the things that we are doing at the National Action Committee to prepare Nigeria for the takeoff of the AfCFTA. Another critical element of what we are doing is sensitization of stakeholders. Ordinarily, COVID area, we would have been going all over the country, sensitizing businesses, but we have up to now been constrained to using digital means for sensitization. But we have had general sensitization seminars. We've also had targeted sensitization events targeted at captains of industries, targeted at special groups, and so on, and even the strategy workshops that we have been holding offers another platform for the sensitization. So in a nutshell, sensitization, defining our strategy, getting ratification done, and getting together the documentation and other things that we need to prepare for start of trade. These are the things that we are doing.
So good to know coming from you. So what are the critical components of Africa Continental Free Trade area for the Nigerian markets?
Okay, so it's about trade, yeah? So trade in goods, trade in services. Services contribute over 50% to our GDP. Services are not don't so much require the kind of logistics infrastructure and power like goods manufacturing and so on. So services provide a major opportunity for Nigeria. Digital services is even more attractive. One, because the future of the world is digital. And digital is an area where we have built significant capacity in some areas, be it e-commerce or fintech. We have Nigerian companies leading in a number of these areas. But beyond that, we've got in transportation, we've got Nigerian businesses operating in the sub-region. and across Africa as well. So, and business services, Nigeria has the opportunity to be the hub for business services, be it legal services. So, there are 4 languages in Africa, 4 official languages of the AU: English, French, Arabic, and Portuguese. And really, with our population, we have the opportunity to pretty much make Nigeria the hub for services, for business services of all sorts. Beyond the services, you've got goods, trading goods. The key thing is there are already areas where we have significant competitive advantage. Oil and gas is one, cement is another, and there are areas where we are growing. We have there are other growth areas. Fertilizer is another, and so on. I can go on and on, but there are areas really in trade in goods where Nigeria is ripe for expansion to Africa. I can't not forget financial services. This is a sector that has been pushing into Africa for a while now and continue to push into Africa. So really across these areas, across several areas, sectors, products and services, there are enormous opportunities for Nigerian businesses. Also important is we now have opportunity. The market is much larger. We have opportunity to expand our positioning across the value chain of all the sectors I've mentioned earlier. So in terms of opportunities, it is huge for Nigeria and across goods and services.
Okay, we know that the Africa Continental Free Trade area will be governed by 5 operational instruments. The question is, will the restrictive rule of origin allow Nigerian manufacturing industry enjoying the full benefits of Africa Continental Free Trade area?
So let's start with the rules of origin. The objective of AfCFTA is to encourage the production and trade of made in Africa goods and services. So in some areas, the capacity may not be there today, but the rules of origin, the restrictive rules of origin means that players in Africa now have the opportunity an incentive to invest in those areas. So in a number of areas is wholly obtained, yes. So in those areas, unless you can prove wholly obtained, you can't trade. And so it's not about relaxing rules of origin across board and people will import goods from China or other countries outside Africa and then transport them to Nigeria and other countries. That's not the objective of AfCFTA. And another point to note is that the rules of origin now is what has been agreed by all the member states. So, and there are opportunities. You get started, you see how you perform, you make updates here and there, depending on the outcomes that we see.
Prepared the industries in Nigeria. Do we have the capacity, for production?
Okay, so the thing about we've had a number of workshops, strategy workshops, like I mentioned earlier, and we've heard from producers themselves, businesses themselves, that are already out there in the market making waves. We just finished the technology strategy workshop, and we've got Nigerian businesses doing a lot, be it in business process outsourcing, We have Jumia, which operates in Nigeria and other African countries. And fintech companies and so on. Banks are moving to various parts of Africa. So they are already moving. Our entertainment products are all over Africa. Our creative professionals are all over Africa. Our musicians are no longer think Nigeria, they think Africa. Their fan base is Africa. So in services, in various services, but also in goods, they are all over Africa. Now, some of the corporates that the major corporates are also trading Africa. So it is ongoing, and I think what you could say is that if you take the COVID experience, the COVID pandemic experience, at the onset of COVID experience, at the onset of the pandemic, we didn't know we had so many companies that could produce face masks even, and produce some of the things that we needed when the borders when the global logistics chain shut down. So the same way, there are so many companies that are just busy doing their own thing. And yes, we lack data of all these companies, but that does not mean that they don't exist. So indeed, the opportunity, the businesses are going ahead, with or without AfCFTA. The AfCFTA will be a shot in the arm for those businesses, because the focus is now to help them to scale, to reduce the barriers for them to thrive in those markets. So yes, there are a number of companies are prepared. That is not to say that the challenges are not there. The challenges are there. The challenges of electricity supply, the challenges of our logistics infrastructure, the challenges of our ports, they are there. But the whole idea is the market, get into the market. All these challenges will be solved as we go along.
So we know that the private sector, it's an important element in the success of this Africa Continental Free Trade. And of course, we also have the informal sector, and it is, some of them don't have the capacity, to produce, and we know this particular sector will do a whole lot for the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Is the government doing anything, in order to support? Is there any plan in place to support them, maybe technical support or skills development, or something, just to be able to help them, to get them prepared, to get into this trade?
Government is doing a lot. If you look at NEPC, so Nigerian Export Promotion Council, you just need to look at what they've been doing in the past couple of years to train and develop capacity of exporters and SMEs, especially SMEs. And you just need to look at the growth in export of, take cocoa for instance. That's a good example of the success of government program in developing SMEs to export. Now, cocoa is one product. There are sesame is another, and a number of them are being developed now. So that's an example. Beyond that is there are a number of funding initiatives coming out of the central bank targeting several products, which we all know and we hear about. So the incentives are out there, and people are getting it. Now, the thing about SMEs is really they are SMEs. They operate at subsistence level. So even the ability to take the support that they need is a challenge, and to get them to export, they need to meet the standards. They need to meet all. It will take time. We are doing at the National Action Committee is looking at how do we aggregate these SMEs and channel them to larger corporates with the capacity to take on export trade. And what that does is that it relieves them of the burden of the processes involved in export trade, relieves them of the burden of the compliance requirements, and also for the larger corporates to export and take advantage of the rules of origin and all of that. They need to ensure that these SMEs comply with basic practices. So that study is ongoing, and once finished, we will implement it. But really, there are several corporates that already operating local content or local ecosystem development programs. So we are talking to some of them to be able to understand how they do it, and then we try to scale it to cover the entire country. So in summary, there's a lot already been done by the CBN, by agencies like the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, and a small and medium scale development agency of Nigeria and others. That there's a lot being done, and CBN, of course, in financing. And now we are also now providing information specific to AfCFTA and trying to understand how best to aggregate the SMEs to focus on export.
Thank you. So now that Nigeria has ratified the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, what next? What should we be expecting in January?
Okay, thank you. So the Federal Executive Council has approved the preparation of the instrument of ratification, which we now need to prepare, get the President to sign, and then we deposit at the African Union Commission. Beyond that, there are some administrative processes that need to happen. One is submission of the offers, because we are a customs union, ECOWAS customs union. It has to be an ECOWAS offer of tariff concessions, so which determines which products will be liberalized and which one will not be liberalized. That's for trade in goods. We have something similar for trade in services. The discussions on rules of origin is still ongoing. So all these will need to be tidied up. As of this week, the conversations on the documentation to accompany the products took place. So there are a number of administrative processes to operationalize the AfCFTA. Like I mentioned earlier, we are fine-tuning our strategy, our national strategy for the AfCFTA. We have identified some specific readiness programs. For instance, establishment of a trade remedies authority, which we've started working on. We have identified the certification of Nigerian businesses to global standards, and we're working closely with Standards Organization of Nigeria to get that started, so we can grow the number of Nigerian businesses that can trade, that will have no difficulty in exporting their products to not just African countries but to the globe. Beyond that, we continue with the other readiness interventions, the trade facilitation. There are a number of trade facilitation action points, which we retain the trade facilitation roadmap developed under WTO, which contains activities at domestic level, regional and global level, which are essentially the same thing that we need to do to prepare for AfCFTA. That is ongoing, and it's being run by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. So there are a number of interventions that are ongoing, and of course, the initiatives on power are ongoing. The initiatives on roads are all ongoing. What we will try to do, or what we are trying to do with the strategy, is to focus on specific ones, especially those that run through the trade corridors, and also will try to ensure that the roads go from the farm gates or the factory gates and the production clusters to the agreement itself. The conversations will continue at regional and continental level in the areas of customs cooperation. So making sure that the committees that will make sure that the procedures for smooth importation and exportation takes place seamlessly, and have protocols to react when they don't. So there are all sorts of things that that we are going and will continue. So really, start of trade in January is the first step, but a lot will continue, a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of conclusion of what's already going on will continue to happen after 1st of January 2021.
You did mention ensuring that we have good roads and all that in communities. Now, talking about the farmers, we know a lot of them have their farm produce and all that ready for buyers, and sometimes they have problems of having off-takers. So is the government doing anything about this, to be able to support them? Apart from just opening up the roads, how do they get off-takers to move their products or to also patronize them?
So I mentioned earlier a study that that is ongoing, the SMEs aggregation program, which is essentially how do we get the SMEs to, how do we connect the SMEs to larger corporates or off-takers that can take off and then process locally or export to African countries. So this is a specific program that we are running at the National Action Committee on AfCFTA. That is one. The NEPC, SMIDAN also have programs on SMEs and getting them to export. They've been involved in export promotion, taking SMEs, specific SME companies, to various trade programs around the world, not just in Africa. So all these are ongoing and will continue to take place, and in fact will be intensified with the AfCFTA, as you would notice with more demand for more activities with the AfCFTA really.
Empower a woman, you empower the community, you empower a nation. So does this trade agreement, does it have any special components for women? I mean, empowering them, or is there anything special put aside for women?
The strategy, the national strategy that we are developing has so far looked at the macro level and also at the sectorial level. We also are thinking about, or we have a plan to incorporate state level or subnational strategies. But another key component of that is inclusiveness, and that's where you will find gender, youth, and other special groups. So again, the SMEs, a good number of SMEs are women. So they are by design already factored in. But beyond that, the inclusiveness element of the strategy will address, will ensure that we create, we pay special attention to to women and youth. And in fact, in terms of the strategy workshops we've been holding, we started with agriculture, which is an area where a lot of Nigerians, in fact, the highest job creating sector in Nigeria, and that employs a lot of women as well. Then the next one that we focus is the technology sector, digital technology, and because we have a lot of our youth operating in that space, so we built into our activities and built into our priorities are women and special groups, especially our youth, where we know we have these are pretty much the key pillars of our economy today and tomorrow.